Anybody here? Anybody here? Anybody here? Okay, can you hear me? Ooh, we only have two. Oh, what's going on? I'm getting notifications to pay quarterly taxes. Welcome to uh, freelance life. Got state and federal taxes to pay. They're due on the 16th, by the way. That's my public service announcement. They're not due on the 15th this year. They're due on the 16th of September for some reason. I don't know why. Because it's not like the 15th is a weekend. But I'm still trying to figure out. I definitely think this is definitely smoother. This side feels a little sharper, so I definitely think this slide, I'm still working on it. The wider tapered part could be at the top. Where is everybody? Time for a dose of Strahle's magic guitar elixir. Yeah, I wonder if Evito will show up. I kind of answered this question a little bit. Okay, I'm going to tell this to snooze, but it's just going to come back in a couple minutes. So what we're going to talk about, I did basically just this morning, I did 5 diagrams. We're going to use the caged method to find shapes that we can use in with slide. And I apologize in advance for the overly complex diagrams that I created, but I wanted to give you as much information as possible in each diagram. So I am going to upload every one of these to the Discord. And you can, like I've said in the past, you could take all 5 of these diagrams and put them in one document. So I'm going to wait a little while here. How many are you? I'm seeing I've only got 7 viewers. So weird, 8. So I guess people are getting back to work, which is a good thing. And again, I kind of moved my time so that I could get more European viewers, but not really happening. But my YouTube view count is way down, so the revenue is down. And boy, I mean, I spiked it when COVID started because I started doing daily. I just couldn't. There's no way I could do daily. Fortunately, I've been pretty busy. Let's see what my analytics look like here. Well, I'm over 82,000 subscribers, which is cool, but it's just really slowing down. Yeah, my view count 6,500 over the last 48 hours. That's really low, super low. So it's largely the 7 tips for older beginners is 2,500 of that. So 2,500 of 6,500 is what, about more than a third. Still a vast majority of my videos. Now, the thing is, some fun chords in open G, that's a really old video. So the reason, I'm assuming that the reason my #1 video is dropping is just because everybody who needs to see it has seen it. And YouTube is not recommending it as much. So, you know, we're just sitting here. Weird. Yeah, Darren, it's like crazy out there, huh? I mean, we've experienced it in Southern California. I think we're supposed to get pretty windy weather in the next couple days, so that may make it worse for us. But the lack of wind is what's been making the smoke kind of sit over LA. But where I live in LA, and I'm in North LA, the North Valley, not hardly any smoke at all. In fact, I just walked to Starbucks and went for about a mile and a half walk, and I didn't smell smoke once. Oh, I forgot I'm in drop D. Okay, everybody take a sip. I didn't actually utilize it. So give me a second. I'm going to have to get out of drop D. When you have a whammy bar, it takes a minute to get out of drop a tuning, because when you tighten one string, all the other strings loosen. That's kind of the nice thing about a hardtail. Hardtail, you can kind of tune like a Les Paul. I have a 1980 Strat hardtail, that I actually bought from church. Um, when they were having a building campaign, people were donating things to sell to church, and there were a few things donated that I wanted to buy, but I really couldn't afford to buy everything. So I bought this Strat that was made in 79 or 80. 79 is the year I graduated from high school. And so okay, I'm pretty much there now. Where is everybody? Holy cow. Oh, I'll change this to 111. It tells me people have notifications turned off. All right, so people can catch it later. So what we're going to talk about, the thing that we're going to need to realize, and what I may do is I may go ahead and drop in all of these. It takes a second though, so give me a second. I'll drop in all of these images that I've created. And then what I'll do is I'll make them a little small in the corner. And when I'm talking about them, I'll bring them up to the forefront. And I could probably do a lesson on each one of these shapes. But maybe we'll go into a deeper dig on some of these in future videos. But maybe we'll do a kind of an overview thing. But like I said, these are kind of a little bit on the, oops, where did it go? I flipped it. Okay, that's so weird it's so weird that that's even an option. Why would I want to make it backwards? Okay, try to make these somewhat the same size. All right, and let's see, 2 more. So you can see, I mean, technically, I could spell out the word cage. The C shape and the D shape are the 2 least usable for slide. But the reason I want to kind of pull the caged method in here is because caged method is such a great way to see the neck in general. So anytime I can reinforce that, it's good. And then also, it's kind of an easy way to start seeing shapes up and down your fretboard. So I'm going to explain these confusing shapes here in a second here. What I was thinking. I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to give you all the information I can give you, but it kind of ended up, I had to go, okay, how am I going to, oh, okay, I'll do that for this, and I'll do this for that. Okay, so. Yes, I'll go deeper on the more, yeah. Exactly, Bruce. I'll go deeper on the more usable ones. Okay, so I got these all over here, so that's kind of good. I should have done this to begin with, but it took me a minute. I just finished these right before I went on air. So the 2 main ones I think about, and A form and G form are very similar. Okay, so if you look at the, on a G form, like if I play a G form up here, which is a D chord, so by barring the 7th fret and I'm playing G form, this bar right there, those 3 notes, that's our golden ticket right there for playing slide in standard tuning, okay? You don't need to see all my hair. And then, so this is the A form D chord. So if I'm playing a D chord, like over a D chord, I got, and again, I'm playing this note with my thumb, first finger, second finger. So you can see on the A form, we've got those 3 notes circled. And I put, so the diagram basically is you can, you see the bar, that line going across is the bar. These are all movable shapes. I'm just scanning right now to make sure I didn't do anything stupid, but so far I don't see any mistakes. You can see on the A form, there are 2 red circles, and basically what I'm doing is I'm circling any part of the chord that is flat straight across the fretboard, okay? And you can see where the D form and the C form both have dotted red circles. And those are those are where there's a straight line across, but there's a note in between that is not on that line, on that axis or whatever. So like, for example, the C form up in, I could technically play that, the 12th fret, the 12th fret on the 3rd string and the 12th fret on the 1st string. But I'd want to be really careful not to hit that 2nd string because that's a B natural. If you're playing in C blues, a B natural is not going to be a note you're going to want to hear. So it might require a technique where you practice muting with your 2nd finger and plucking with your 1st and 3rd finger. That's a kind of a, and you can see and on the D form too. So like, for example, if I play the D form here, so here's a D chord, and then the D form is like this, right? Moving up, so here's E flat, there's D, E flat, E, F, F sharp, G, A flat, and here's A. So I can see the A chord in the D form here, and here's the C form A chord. So it looks like a C chord, but it's an A chord. Okay. And here are the 2 notes we want. We don't want this note. So those are, anyway, those are more rare. I don't use those as much. I will probably hunt out the G form or the A form because in that scenario, I can play those 2 notes here, but I've also got the root right here. Right? If I wanted to do that here, I'd have to go. And I run the risk of hitting that major 7th. Let me play it over the here, I'm just going to vamp an A7 chord. Okay, so we're just going to vamp that chord. Oh, shoot, no. I just want the A. Okay, so 11 viewers. This is so weird. Okay, so we're just vamping this A chord. And so the A chords, we have this A chord. We have this G form A chord. We have the E form A chord. We have the D form A chord. And this is the kind of stuff you should start trying to learn if you don't already know it. It's all of the shapes in the different keys up and down. The 5 shapes, we only have 5 shapes. And the reason I like the caged method is because it's 5 of the most common shapes, right? They are 5 of, the first 5, oftentimes some of the first 5 chords you learn in guitar. And so the A form works great. Here's A. Or you can even play it down here. Literally making an A chord shape here. Okay? But I could also make those 2 notes, the E and the C sharp, I could do it here. But see, you don't want to hit that 2nd string. Because there's a G. You don't want to hit the G sharp because there's a G in the A7 chord, which is what's playing right now. Okay? So if you can find that shape in your key, whatever key you're in, if you can find that shape, I was just thinking this morning, I'm kind of bummed that Gary can't be here because he's working in the mornings, or I'm not sure, because I think he's in my time zone. I think, right? Isn't Gary on the West Coast? I forget. Hey, see, now, Ron, you're the part of the reason why I go this earlier time here, so that maybe an occasional night owl in Australia can catch us. So the E shape, the A shape and the G shape are basically the same thing. Now, to continue to explain my methodology here. Okay, this is not anything I copied from any book or anything. The blue notes are the roots. Okay, I was going to make them red, but then I thought, well, I have red and then I got the red circles. I don't want to get confused here, but so I did blue. I should have done blue circles and red note. Anyway, red for root. You know what I'm saying. But blue notes are the roots, and I think I got them all. You can see on the G form there are 3 roots. On the E form there are 3 roots. On the C form there are 2. D form has 2, and the A form has 2. There's a couple notes that I put that are white with a dotted line around it. Okay. The reason I did that. Oh, he's in Wisconsin. Okay. The reason I did that is like sometimes when you play D, you put your thumb over here, right? Normally, like when we learn the cage method, oftentimes we do the D shape. Oh, well, that's only 4 notes. You need to realize when you're playing a D shape or D form that there are more notes. Here's the low note, the root in the D chord, but you've also got the 5th here and the 3rd here. So even though you can't really play those and do the cage thing. We talked about this in the cage method. You still want to know they're there. Okay, so that's kind of why I put that. On the D form here, I put that circled note or that dotted line note. Okay, so this is the one I'm talking about right here. Okay, and then I also put the dotted red circles, the dotted line red circle around those 2 notes because again they're not on adjacent strings, and there's a note between them that if you played it at the same fret, it wouldn't really work generally. So. The part of the D form, though, that would work is that the lower 2 notes, or the notes on the 4th and the 5th string. And that's the root on top and the 5th on the bottom. And that, you could definitely find use for that. So like if I'm playing E form, it's in the A. Here are the okay. Now that's the same as the same on the E form. Okay, you see that on the 4th and 5th string. You got the 5th and the root. And I'm just going down on the 4th string. I'm going down 2 frets to get to the 7th. That's part of the D form, and it's also part of the E form. It's the same little snippet, little piece of that chord we're using in both shapes. All right, so sorry, got to get my Windows order here. All right, so I'm using on the D form. I can see here's the D chord here for A, and here's the 5th and the root. In the A or the E form, here's A. We all know this chord pretty much. See, there's E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, or A flat. There's A. Hey, AJ. Good to see you. And that gives us kind of a nice, just doing that, gives us a very good bluesy sound. Okay? And the root is on top, which is nice. Okay, and the same thing, let's see, what other forms do we have? So the G form, the G form in the A chord would be this, here. Here's the G form A chord, or up here, which is probably more likely where I'm going to use it. But you can see on the G chord, we have 2 circles. Okay, so let me bring this in, 2 red circles. And a lot of times when I'm playing slide, I'll envision the G chord. The bottom, the circle on the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string is the same group as on the A form. Okay, so basically I could go like this, and it's the same. Right? Boom. That is what's happening. So I wish you could see my pointer. What if I can I add a pointer? Color source, browse, a browser. I can add a browser. I don't want to do that. Let's see. Siphon client. I don't know what that means. Video window capture. No, I don't want to do that. Okay. So, but you can see here on the A form, the three notes grouped, and then on the G form, I didn't actually put circles for those. The bar, I just put a circle where the root is on the G form, and I also put another little ghost note there, where you see the two, and those two notes. Okay, those two notes are the same as this. These two, the top two notes of this. Okay, so the E form would drop in on top of. You can see we're starting to form the word caged. Here's the age part of caged. All right. They kind of drop in this way, if that makes sense. And so a lot of times when I'm playing, like I may be thinking A form, and I'll run up to these two notes, or I can think G form. It doesn't really matter how you think about it when you play those three notes. But I'll go up to here. Okay, so let me show you what that looks like. Okay, I'm going to minimize the E form. Oops. Come on. Oh, there we go. Minimize the E form and minimize the A form. And we're going to feature the G form for a second. Okay, we're going to work on this one for a second. Yeah, I need a veto here. Yes. AJ, the form is exact. These are all just, the same as the caged method. This is how we make bar chords. This is how we make, it's what I use to see shapes and licks and scales all up and down the fretboard. Okay, I can move this up here. I can make this bigger. All right, so a lot of times when I'm playing slide, I'll see, let me change it to the D chord. All right, so I'm going to go to the D chord. So now the vamp is D. So what I'm seeing is this G form here. It's a D chord. Okay, shoot, hold on. So let me get you to play it, or at least visualize it. Okay. So it's 10th fret, 9th fret, 7th fret, 7th fret, 7th fret, 10th fret, 10th fret. Okay, or you can think of, how we make G like this. Old school is this way, new school is this way. And so that's, if you see the new school shape, you can see these two notes right there. Those are the top, notes of the G form, but also the top notes of the E form. And here's the E form D chord. I'm basically playing an E shape at the 10th fret, and that makes a D chord. Okay? So I got those two notes on the top two strings. It's a fifth and a root, and then I have the fifth, root, and third here. So over the D, I can just, between those two shapes, I got a lot of stuff to do. I'm thinking G form right there, but I don't think one form when I'm playing slide. I'm basically just thinking the different shapes. I'm seeing the different shapes, and then using them to find licks that I want to play. And I might use the D form. but I might do more single note stuff and less chordy things. See, all of this lesson today is really about finding some nasty, fat kind of chords to go with your playing. And if we look at the C form, the bottom two strings, they're kind of the same as the bottom two strings of the A form. Okay, do you see that? So if I were to play the C form D chord, it would be here. All right, so here's C. Here's C sharp. Yeah, Darren, if you go back to lesson 1 of these video lessons, so we're at lesson 111. If you go all back to lesson 1, there are 12 lessons on the cage method, and I talk about shapes and the note you really want to see. Here's the thing: you'll notice the blue notes; those are the roots. Those are the notes you want to know. That's why it's important to know the notes up and down your neck, so that you can find these forms. So if you know, oh, okay, here's this. If I know all the notes on the G string, it makes it really easy to find the A form and the G form. Okay, or if you know all those notes on the A string, it makes it easy to find the A form. Also, if you know all the notes on the bottom string, it makes it easier to find the E form and the G form, because that's where the roots are. Okay, so those blue notes are there as a guide to help you find the root. So if you're playing over an E flat chord, then you just line up all of those blue notes with E flats, and you've got those would all become E flat chords. Okay, so the G form E flat chord would be here, the A form would be here, the E form would be here. Let's see, what else? The D form would be here, the C form would be here. So you use those roots, and that's where coming in. Oh, hey Gary, what up? Gary, I'm sorry the time changes messed you up. Is it because you have to work in the morning? Were you normally like taking a lunch or something when I did 11 o'clock? Because I'm kind of bummed that you can't be here. I was thinking about that this morning. Oh, Darren, I don't. Generally, people, when they are doing open tunings, they aren't really thinking about the notes they're playing. Most of those, like a lot of the fingerstyle people that play in multiple different tunings on every song and everything, they have no idea what notes they're playing. I mean, their ears may be really good, and they may be very, very good musicians, and they know. But basically, what they're doing is they're memorizing, or they're inventing songs in those forms, and just learning that, and they know what works over it. But I mean, when I do open tunings, yeah, I kind of know what notes I'm playing, but I'm not reading, and none of these would work in open tunings, so they're completely worthless. The cage method is completely worthless in open tunings, just so you know. So you don't have to. I wouldn't worry about if you're doing now. If you're only playing in one, like if you only play in dadgad, and I don't know anybody that does that, but there may be somebody out there. Then go ahead and learn the notes on the neck. But if you're playing in multiple different open tunings, no. The whole point of playing in open tuning is almost so you don't have to think about what notes you're playing. You just go, oh, here. If I'm in open G, then this is a C chord, this is a D chord. That's what I have to learn. You basically have to learn the bottom string, or the fifth string in open G. Okay? I don't have a guitar tuned that way right now, but we're going to talk about open tunings for slide Wednesday or Friday. I may continue on this Wednesday because there's so much information here. And it's all good to know. But yeah. So Darren says, I'm playing by ear and listening to your scales, having trouble getting down the next in open D and G. Yeah. So like I said, I did do a video, I think, some fun scales in open D, I think. Did I? Let's see. Scales open. Show all. All right, let me see. What do I have here? Oh, okay. So I did some fun scales in open D. I thought I did. Oh, I did. Okay, it's just not called. Okay, so here's that video. All right, go watch this. Gosh, we're just so slow this morning. Only 18 people. It's crazy. that video is some fun scales in open D, and then dad. Oops, dad. And then here's some fun scales in open or in dadgad. So in open tuning. Yeah, open C, open D. Yeah, you're gonna. Yeah, I mean those are fun, and those are basically when you're playing in open tuning, just especially if you're not playing slide, you're just using your ear. I don't really. I mean, you can start to learn shapes and things like that, and if it helps you learn songs, but you know, Caged Method is geared 100% for standard tuning. And so that's kind of what I'm talking about here right now. We're in standard tuning. Wednesday or Friday, I'll tune up a guitar in open G, which is my favorite slide tuning, and maybe we'll do open D too. It's difficult. It's difficult because when I'm teaching like this, video-wise, online, live kind of thing, I'm dependent on everybody knowing, you know, I'll have to put a little thing, hey, we're in open G, you know, here's the tuning. And then I'm dependent on people knowing how to do that. I mean, a lot of people, some people only have tuners that will only tune and eat at Denny's, get bad eggs. You know, you can set your tuner to be guitar, so we'll only hear those notes, so you can't accidentally tune it, you know, not looking at the letter, but just going, oh, it's in the green, so I must be in tune, but you're actually E flat or something. So, so yeah, we're right now we're in standard tuning, and that's why all these shapes work. So the three main shapes with slide are going to be the E form, the G form, and the A form. Those are going to be your three main shapes. The D form and the E form, the D form and the C form are a little bit more iffy because again, you can see that dotted red circle on the C form and on the D form. That is basically stating, you know, implying that yes, you can play the G string and the E string, but don't play that B string because you can see that root is right up there. That blue note is just out of the box. So if you think you're playing, what key am I right now? I think we're in D, right? Yeah, D. So, so if I play that shape at the D, if I hit that second string, I'm in trouble, you know? So I got my pick in my hand. I'm gonna put my pick down, and I'm gonna hold my second finger on the second string and just leave it there. And then I'm gonna pluck with the first and third finger. Right now I have no nail on my third finger, which stinks. Got no volume. Yeah. So I would say, I could do it actually visually here. I would say you can minimize the use of the C form. Boop, make it really small, and the D form. They're like, yeah, maybe. No, they are there. And if you're playing melodically, meaning if you're not trying to play chords, see, this is the whole reason I'm teaching this lesson, like I just said, is mainly because I want you to be able to see some chords. You can get some nasty like fatness going. Okay, because we were playing melodies before. Remember, we were doing like, right? And we may do some more of that. I may do some play along with Tom lesson on this. You get your slide out, and then we just do like a player. You just imitate me, and I'll try to keep it real simple. I think, hey, B Kitty. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, Darren, and that's, yeah, slides. If that happened to me, I would probably do the same thing. If I lost all the fingers on my hand or something, I might, you know, take up slide, or I don't know what I'd do. It's just, I guess I'd take up lyric writing. So, I don't know. I'd still be creative somehow, but I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't give up. I remember seeing that guy that didn't have any arms playing 12-string with his toes in L.A. for the Pope when he came here back in '84 or something. Um, so that was amazing. But yeah, so playing playing slide in standard tuning is a little more challenging. But I spent probably when I play slide 95% of the time I'm in standard tuning because I'm just picking up the slide to play in a song either live that I'm already playing. We're already playing a song, and maybe I'm doing 5 songs in a set or 10 songs in a set. And on one song I want slide. Well, I'm not going to go to open tuning for one song, especially if I'm only playing slide for 30 seconds in that one song. It makes no sense. So it makes a lot more sense to have skills in standard tuning. And so that's why I'm using the cage method to kind of show you all these things. So the cool thing about some of the best. Now, the one thing you can't get in standard tuning, which is bitching in like open G, you can't get that power chord. So you're just going to have to wait until probably Friday. Well, we'll see. Maybe Wednesday. Oh, I know. Django freaking Reinhardt only basically used these 2 fingers were fused together like this. So he would use these fingers for bars, but basically he played everything with 2 fingers. I've talked about Django many times. But when we get to open tuning, we had in the bottom of the G5, the open G, we have that on the 5th, 4th, and 3rd string, we have a power chord. It's not just so good, It's what George Thorogood does. I'm pretty sure he's an open G or open A. You can also go to open A. The only concern with open A is the string. You're tuning up the B string to C sharp, so you might break it. And you're also tuning the G string up to A and the D string up to E. So you're tuning things up. And same thing with open E. Open E and open A, you're tuning up to get to, whereas open D and open G, you're tuning some strings down. So when you're tuning in open D, you have to tune 4 strings down, okay? And when you're tuning to open E, which would give you the same shapes up and down the neck, in open E, you're only having to tune 3 strings. So sometimes open E is a little bit easier on the fly, but you do run the risk of breaking a string. Probably not horribly high though. The D string and the A string are pretty loose. They're not too likely to break. They're also wound. But the nice thing about open E is now all your low string hasn't changed. So this is still G. This would be A. This would be A. This would be. I think it was open E that I saw Dolly Parton play on Johnny Carson, where she had these long nails, and she was doing an interview, and I'm like, I didn't even notice the nails until Johnny said, "Oh, you're gonna play a song?" And she goes, "Yeah." And she grabs a guitar from behind Johnny, or from behind her seat, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, how's she gonna play?" And she just had it tuned to open E, and just was, or maybe it was open D or open C flat or open D flat. I think it was. I knew it was like open D. It was something weird. I think it was down a half step from open D, and she just sang the song, and she killed it. She's amazing. Let's see. So yeah, open G is the one I think of a lot. But in my head, to be honest, I'm probably thinking when I'm playing like over that D. I mean, I might be thinking that G shape, but I'm probably more likely thinking the A form and the E form. Okay. So I got this and this, and I got this down here. So the 4th and 5th string on the E form is a nice bassy low root. If I want to go down an octave, I can do this. So that's the bottom 2 strings of the A form right there. Yes, I put my finger, generally I do. Sometimes I don't. It cleans up the sound. Now, a lot of players will play with their 3rd finger, okay? I think, Bruce, you were doing that with your, and we talked about this on the first lesson. And the second lesson, we talked more about technique. We talked about slides the first lesson. This is a Craftsman 11/16 socket, and which has really been my main. I have to admit, it has a real bitey sound to it. It's a lot heavier than this brass one, okay, that I just got. I'm trying to kind of work this one in. And then I also really, really like, in my studio, I almost always use the glass slide. And this is a Corsican bottle. This is what Dwayne Allman and Derek Trucks use. Dickie Betts, I don't know. But Derek Trucks. And they use it also on their ring finger. So, but my, sorry, I got a little bit of a burr on my index finger, and I just don't want to catch a string, break it off. My favorite player, though, probably one of my favorite players is Sonny Landreth on slide. Ry Cooder also on lap steel. Well, and who's the guy that played with Jackson Brown? Shoot, he's a great player too. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm muting with the right hand and the left hand. I'm muting behind the slide. Yeah, the right hand. So what the technique, just for review of anybody who missed that lesson, is basically what I'm doing is I'm placing my 3 fingers on the top 3 strings, and then my thumb is kind of laying in my, like the side of my thumb and maybe the palm of my hand is muting everything. So I'm trying, when I'm playing single notes, I'm trying to mute any string that I'm not wanting to play, because otherwise you get this. And then if you don't mute behind, you get some weird. I find it buzzes more if you don't mute behind with these fingers. Most guys do. Now, but Sonny Landreth will do things with, like he'll do stuff where he frets behind the slide. We're going to talk about that later. I got to use a different guitar for that. Snail is still a little risky here. I don't want to catch it. Leo Kottke, insane player. Leo Kottke, playing that slide the way he does on a frickin' 12 string is amazing. Yeah. I mean, there's some great players out there. You know, it's not my thing. I'm not known for it, but I will pull it out, and I love playing slide. But it's like, I can only, much better. I can only, well, I've never mastered anything. But, you know, yeah, I only have so many lifetimes. So, all right. So, all right. Now, what do we have? Let's see. What else? Did I miss any questions? Oh, yeah. The socket is so probably one of the things you want to do is, I mean, you can do this on a per song basis. So let's say you're playing a song that's just A to D. You really, you know, you can get away with. So I'm going to extend this. So it's A to D. Well, it's fine. It's going to go A and then it's going to go to D. Well, now we're getting up there. So weird. It's such a slow burn on this lesson, viewer-wise. I'm turning down. So the we're going A to D. So you pick one of the forms. Let's pick A form. So obviously the A chord A form is here, but learn the other one because this one, it's a little tough to play slide here because it's like the headstock's in your way. You got a tuner. It's like, and it's not jumping out at you. You know, it's kind of low stuff. You can get low stuff elsewhere. So take it up an octave, and here's the A form. Okay, here's the A form for the A chord, and here's the A form for the D chord. So this would be a case of on a song. You know, you don't need to learn. Okay, here's A flat or B flat. I'm sorry, A sharp or B flat. Here's B, here's C sharp or D flat. You don't need to learn all that. Okay, ultimately, sure, but and I find that if you teach it to someone, you'll learn it a lot faster. Um, but just if you got one song you're going to be playing slide in, why learn every key? You only need to learn 2 chords. You only need one key. Okay, so we get like, and here's another thing. I always tell you, don't just play the same scale. Don't go. It just sounds like you're moving a scale up and down, right? And that's a no-no when we're soloing. However, when I'm playing slide, it's kind of okay to go from the same shape. The problem is your range of your solo is going to be here and here. It's going to be this. You don't have a very wide range of soloing ability. So ultimately, what you could also do is you could go, okay, learn like the E form, A right here, and the D form, or the A form for the D chord, and do the same thing. Okay, so we're going to here's the A form for the A chord, and the E form for the D chord. Now you have 2 sets of 2 sets. I'm going to do some manipulation here. I'm going to move things around. 2 sets of chord forms, shapes to use. All right, you got the E form, and we got the A form, which you probably know both of these. You know that this is an A chord, and this is a D chord. So you already got the E form version. You just got to learn the A form. Okay, so what that allows me to do is be a little bit more in the neighborhood. So now I'm using the A form over the D. Sorry. Right here. Okay, so what I did there, this is really something that's really important to see. Now we're at 35. What is it? We were at like 4 viewers for like a half hour. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is I'm playing an A form A chord up here, and I got this 14th fret and 14th fret right there. Okay, see what I'm circling there are all the like places where parts of the caged method chord shapes that are in a straight line, so that they're easy to play with slide. You really don't do a lot of diagonal slide playing when you're playing. Some guys do it and they're amazing, but it's pretty rare. It's really kind of, and the tuning is going to be sketchy. So Stevie Ray Vaughan, what? And so, but what I did was I hit this A and this D. I'm sorry, the A and the C sharp. And now I wanted the A and the D. I'm only changing one note. I have to move all the way down here. But the beauty of it is I went down the fretboard, but I went up the strings. Okay, up the strings. I'm pointing down when I say up the strings, but the strings are getting higher in pitch, so that's going up the strings. Okay, this could be a bad meme right now. It's always going to turn that into a meme. Okay, so what I did was basically took that C sharp up to D, but I had to go down here to do it. But what it did was, by going down the neck and up the strings, I was able to build a melody, build something that was a little bit more melodic. Now I don't see a Vito here. A Vito asked a question on and it was a great question. I kind of wish he was here. Very good question, but basically asked, why do my pentatonic scales sound so robotic? Why can't I sound more melodic like this guy? And then he posted a video, okay? And the guy was playing very simple but diatonic scale. So pentatonics are 5 notes. Here we go. 5 notes. And diatonics are 7 notes. See, I think we all just prefer this, to be honest. So I it's definitely easier to be melodic with diatonic scales, okay? And we could do a series of lessons on those. I mean, we've talked about them in the past. We've talked about modes. We've talked about the Cage method, learn the scales. I've done videos. I've got a video series that I started that I thought was going to be really popular, but it really didn't take off. So I haven't done many more. I think I did 9 of them, and it was Intro to Improvisation. And my idea was I was working with a student, a recording artist who wanted to be able to solo. And I said, well, here, imitate me. And so we took a minor vamp, and I just taught him a scale. Because your scales are the source of the robotic sounds. All right, I'm robot. But also the boundaries from which good melodies come from. And so if it sounds robotic, it's because you're just doing exercises for a solo. And so the key is to go from practicing the scale, which you should do, and have some fluidity with it, to actually playing melodic lines. And that's why I always feel like singing this along with it, that's kind of lame. But that's obviously much more melodic than an exercise. And that was within the context of the pentatonic scales. I don't know. I think I did, of those 9 lessons, and I'll post a link to the first one right now. But if you go to my YouTube channel and search my channel and enter intro to improv, or intro, intro, it says 27 videos, to 23 videos, improv, boom, 13 videos. So I think there are 9 videos there, and then there are with scales and stuff where I go, and then there's some jam tracks, and those actually have done better than which I get, because people will watch the jam track over and over and over and over again to practice. But the jam tracks allow you to practice what we're talking about. So thanks, Kyle. I need to get a haircut. It's so funny. I mean, how much of my life did I spend with long hair? I had a ponytail when Alex was born. In fact, I remember when the boys were little, like Jack was just a baby, and I got new glasses, and I had a goatee. So I had a goatee, a ponytail, and I was wearing glasses, but I got a new pair of glasses, and I thought, time to change my look. So I went to the barber I went to pick up my glasses, I went to the barber, got my hair cut short, and then I shaved off my goatee. I came home, the boys were afraid, like, who's mommy kissing? They were like, what the heck is going on? It was hilarious. It was funny because, like, the Halloween right before that, Alex, God bless him. I mean, or may the Lord save him and bless him, because if he could have crawled up inside of me and been me as a kid, he totally would have. So on Halloween one year, he was me. Beth asked him, what do you want to be for Halloween? He goes, Dad. So they made a ponytail out of yarn. They drew on a goatee, and he walked around from door to door with a ukulele. And he had a hat on only because that's what held the ponytail on. I mean, are you kidding me? That is like, I've never heard of that. It's just the cutest thing. I'll have to find a picture of that at some point. Let's see. Yeah, Steve Ray. Yeah, thank you, Steve Ray, for joining us. Kyle, thank you so much for the hair compliment. It's, I'll tell you what, one of the secrets is don't wash it too much. I probably wash my hair once a week. Okay, what's this? Oh, cool. All right, so I am now officially, scares the crud out of me, but we'll see. I mean, all they can do is give me money. They're not going to take money from me. But I am now officially a Universal Music Group writer. Now, I did an admin deal with Universal, not a publishing deal. So they were going to give me an advance, but I didn't want one. So because you have to pay back in advance. So I wanted to keep the royalties coming. I'd rather see and the thing is that what they do is they take a little like piece of your royalties as it's paying them back. It's kind of this weird thing. So instead of giving you, like if you make $100, they only apply 90. They take all 100 of it, but they only apply 90 to what you owe them. So I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do it that way. But I'm touching my face, so let's take a sip. But in the music business and record industry, believe it or not, there's still mechanical royalties. Mechanical royalties were what were from record sales, okay? We're going to go off subject here. But super duper valuable information. Oh, dang it. Wrong. There we go. And mechanicals were record sales. And basically what it was is that for years and years and years, 6.1 cents per unit sold went to the songwriters and their publishers. So if you had a record out, let's say you did a record and you were had 10 songs on the record, and it was a major label, and you wrote and published all 10 songs. So let's say you were also the publisher as well as the writer. So you would get 10 times 6.1 cents per unit sold. So every CD or, well, album, let's say, that sold, you would have made 61 cents, okay? So if the record sold 1 unit, you'd make 61 cents. If it sold 10, you'd make $6.10. If it sold 100, you'd make $61. If you sold 1,000, it would make $610. And that was just your royalty, because if it's you're the artist, you'd also be making whatever negotiated rate that the artist would get. But I'm just talking about songwriting. And then, obviously, as you get up to 1,000, you'd make $610. 10,000, you'd make $6,100. You get up into 100,000, now you're looking at $61,000. And if you sold 1 million, you'd be looking at $610,000. You can see where you could have real money. Now you go, well, records aren't selling. Few records sell 1 million, let alone 10 million. The Bieber record that I have, that I wrote on this last Bieber record that I have a song on, I think it's 2 million worldwide, which is double platinum worldwide, and 500,000 US, which is gold in the US. I could technically have a gold album and platinum albums on my wall, but I don't care. But when they say 2 million sold, I'm not sure if that means actual copies. So it could be purchased. Like I bought the CD. I went to Target and bought the CD, so I had a hard copy of it. Or downloaded. Now, a purchase CD, here's one of the little tricks the labels do. So that 6.1 many years ago got changed to 9.1. So now if you owned 100% of writers and publishers on 10 songs on a record, and it sold 1 million, you'd make $910,000, okay? Now, I have a percentage, I won't say what percentage, but it's a decent percentage of one song on the Bieber record. And I think there's like 16 songs on there. So they're kicking out 9.1 cents times 16 is over, looking like $1.50 per unit sold to the composers, stuff like that. However, when it's a physical sale, and that means a CD, they take they only pay you 75% of that 9.1 cents. And the reason is because of returns. And it's like, seriously, 1/4 of albums don't get returned. But oh, Charlotte, that's awesome. I'm so glad. That's exactly why I created it. I felt the same way, and it was something I wish I'd thought of like back at 30 years ago when I was 40 years ago when I started teaching, 45 years ago when I started teaching, to have the student imitate me and then play real simple. It's like, that's how you learn so much in this world, actually. The best way to learn it is face-to-face. I have a friend that, Luis Conte is a great percussionist, and he told me that really the only way to learn flamenco guitar is to sit down with basically a sensei and just 8 hours a day for 2 months, and then they impart it to you, right? And that's kind of what I was trying to do, was kind of impart it. Same thing with language skills. That really helps if you just immerse. So, Yes, iced coffee tones, exactly. Now the thing is, when people download a song, which is very rare, buying CD, I'd say probably more people actually bought a physical CD than downloaded the music. Well, maybe not, but why download when you can listen to Spotify for free, right? I'm touching my face. We have a drinking game. If I touch my face, you get to take a sip. Oh, Avito is here. Okay. Oh, that's funny, Charlotte. Oh, oh, funny. Okay, you didn't know that, Charlotte. I thought I had a new. I thought I had a new viewer. Okay, never mind. Um, yeah, the great thing about the internet, nobody knows I'm a dog. I remember that New York, the New Yorker cartoon. Um, a dog sitting at the computer. The great thing about the internet is nobody knows I'm a dog. um, yeah, no, I would, one of the things I would do as part of my practice routine was to jam along with songs. And a lot of times I would write down, like if I was playing a whole record or whatever, but maybe I was just thinking about, not Toto, it was Boz Scaggs. Like Middleman, I would just play over that whole record. So the 10 songs, I would write down the key of every song. So like, oh yeah, this one's in A minor, and jam. And generally rock songs don't change keys too much. Steely Dan songs, forget it. That's not going to be the case. But anyway, yeah. So the royalty thing is, so the interesting thing about record sales is now certain number of spins on Spotify. I don't know what the number is. I should look it up. I've heard everything from 30 to 130 equals one purchase. Okay, so 130 makes more sense. So if someone listens to the same song 130 times, then I would get my percentage of 9.1 cents for the mechanical. I would also get a performance royalty for the 130 times. So for example, ETA, I just got my statement. ETA spun, it spun about 5 million times on Spotify in its first 6 weeks of release. And then my BMI statement's probably 100 pages long, and there are Spotify's, there are 200 different streaming companies, so they all kind of report, and of course the Bieber record's going to get a lot of spins. Oh yeah, okay. Let me that's a good idea. I'm going to do 2 things on Discord. Thank you, Bruce. Bruce is my brain. I am going to give you guys a link right now that should be a permanent link. Where is it? Here it is. Okay. Should be a permanent link where you can join up with the Discord group. And the reason you would join up there is to continue discussing what we are talking about. Invite people. Set at this link never to expire. Copy. Okay, so here's a Discord link that should not expire. Also, I am going to upload these images that you're seeing right now, all 5 of them. Right now, I'm going to upload them to the tab that's called Tom's Bookmarks. I don't know why it's that instead of, it should be the homework, but anyway, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to stick to what I've been doing. I don't know what happened if I don't know. It's probably my fault. It always is my fault. So here are these 5. I'm uploading them now. And you can download those and put them like a Word doc and print it up. And that way you can have them to refer to. And again, these are all, and I'm going to talk about these again on Wednesday. We're using these shapes for playing slide and open tuning. In fact, let me just add a little text box here that says that. So, because people tuning in don't know what's all this crap, So using caged shapes to play slide in standard tuning. Sorry. Pretty darn lo-fi, isn't it? Okay, here we go. Boom. So this is what we're talking about. Again, I don't know why this is an option. Why is that an option here? I don't understand. Okay, so this is what we're kind of basically talking about. So if somebody's just tuning in now, that's why all this mess is up here. Okay, and I'm trying to keep my body and my guitar and my neck in the midst of it all. I kind of love it though, and I could, and I've had people, well, just make the windows smaller and then you can put everything. But then I do feel like I'm wasting space when I do this. But I could totally do it that way too. Anyway, I have all the power here. I should turn it over to somebody else, Dennis or somebody that could actually control all this for me. I don't know if that's, I'm sure that could be done remotely. I give you remote permission, but I'd be afraid of what Dennis would put up here. You'd be drawing phallic symbols. Okay, touch my face. And now we got to take a sip. Oh, you know what? Charlotte. You're right. Thank you, Charlotte. Hey, send me a picture. I want to see if you're cute. So over the jam track, the very simple jam track that I have, it's A7 to D7. Again, key that it's sevenths. Okay, because that makes it sound a little bluesier, a little more jazzy too. But also it highlights the fact that the reason why I'm making the D form and C form so teeny tiny. Because they have, in the G form, the G form I give a lot of love to. The G form is kind of the combination of the A form and the E form, right? The three notes of the G form here over the D. See, if I play the G form for a D chord, so that's a D chord, but it's G shape. I can see both the three notes here and the two notes up here. So the G form kind of combines the best of the A form and the best of the E form. But for some reason, I still, when I'm playing, and I'm playing here and doing this, I'm more thinking the A form. And when I go up here, I'm more thinking the E form. It's probably just from years and years and years of power chords, right? The G form is just not the most common shape to visualize up and down the neck. But the A form and the E form are very, very common chords that we all ultimately should know in every key. But, in the meantime, just learn the two, what you need for a specific song. Somebody was talking about this. There was a comment. My buddy, I made some good money, Kyle, off of Spotify. And here's the thing. People complain about Spotify all the time. I remember when, what was it? Was it Yellow Raincoat? I wrote with Justin Bieber, I'm talking about. Justin Bieber and I wrote a song called Yellow Raincoat. And when it came out, when I got my first BMI statement, I had 100 spins on radio, and it paid $100. Okay? So $1 a spin, basically. It wasn't really that because it depends on the radio station size and all that. So it was averaged out to about actually, it was twice that because I got publishing too. So it was $200 for 100 spins. Okay? Sorry, let me, and I have this discussion with everybody who gets mad at Spotify and the streamers and stuff. So 100 spins, $200. All right. I had 1 million spins on Spotify and I got $200. And you're like, well, that stinks. Does it though? Because basically with radio, you don't know how many people are hearing it. Okay? With Spotify, so 1,000, if you have 100 radio stations and they have 10,000 listeners each, that means 1 million people, or 1 million people heard your song. 1 million pairs of ears heard your song, and from the radio, you got $200. On Spotify, you're literally getting paid for every person that really is listening to your song. Okay? So, and if you're an independent artist, the responsibility's on you. There's a book by David Sivers, I think his name is. I don't know if it's for sale. Let me see if I can find it. I think his name is David Sivers. If you have a band, I need to do a review of this book. But basically, in fact, you know what? I got to finish it. I'm reading it right now, and I may finish it and do a review, put it on my YouTube playlist about the business of making music. But so the thing is, though, 10,000 listeners on a radio station, a pop radio station, worldwide. Yeah, there might be some stations that only have 100 listeners. But there's probably more stations had 100,000 or maybe 1 million listeners in LA. I don't know about 1 million listeners, but 100,000 in LA. I don't know that a radio station could even open their doors if they didn't have 100,000 listeners during prime time. Maybe 1 million during prime time in LA or New York. I don't know. That's a lot for radio. But my point is that if it was 20,000, you technically got paid more by Spotify on a per ear basis than you would by radio. Okay. And I do feel like radio is kind of a dying royalty source. Although I did get radio money for ETA this quarter. It wasn't that much. I don't remember, maybe a couple $100. But I feel like more and more people are listening to playlists. So if you have a band and you want, like, who was it that was saying, sorry, I got to move this over so I can grab this. Yeah, Kyle. Wow. B Kitty, you bought? Yeah, I have a lot. I have a lot of CDs. They're all in the garage now because I just don't have any reason to play them. And albums, I have a ton of albums too. The kids love albums. They're all into that. There's something about the organic quality of it. But anyway, yeah. So let me see if this David Sivers book is up on Amazon because somebody sent me the PDF of it. I'm not sure if it was, and I'll buy it, but no, don't change the rivers. Sivers. See, music. Yes, Derek Sivers, sorry. Okay, the thing is called Your Music and People, Derek Sivers. And I am not interesting that it autofilled in Amazon, but it's not showing the book anywhere. Okay, so that tells me if I enter Your Music into Google, maybe he's selling it on his own. I really recommend this for anybody who's looking to it has a band. Goodreads. Okay. Okay, you can buy it direct from him. All right, I should probably go ahead and do it. Paperback. I just need a digital format. He's selling it direct. Preview of the audiobook. Content. I mean, does he actually? Yeah, I think you can actually probably read most of the book right here on his website. I'll put a link here. Okay. This is a really good read for anyone who's got a band and looking to promote and everything. One of the great points that he makes, 100% agree with this, is that, look, when you write your music, you're creative. Sorry, I'm trying to get my windows organized. When you write your music, you're creative. When you record it, you're being creative. When you sing it, you're trying to be creative. When you play it, you're trying to be creative. When you mix it, you're trying to be creative. When you master it, you're being creative. When you make your artwork, you're being creative. You go take photos for the band, you're trying to be creative. You do all this stuff, boom, boom, you got your product done. Why do you stop being creative at that point? That's one of his big takeaways on this book. And so he gives examples of people that got very creative in their promotion of their music and consequently got their music listened to. And you don't need to be famous. You don't need to if that were the case, um, the streaming probably wouldn't exist because there's just not enough 13-year-old teenagers, 13-year-old girls to listen to music nonstop to get Spotify to be profitable, which I don't even know if Spotify is profitable yet, to be honest. So sorry, my eye itches, so we're going to get a lot of sips here. Yeah, I have original Beatles, all original Beatles. Um, yeah, that's cool. You saw them all live. That I'm jealous about. Um, thank you, Big Kitty. Yeah, hit the like button if you can. Yeah, Vito, yes, and so Vito's talking about my jam along um, improv videos that I just posted a link for. Right? Did I not just put a link up here? Maybe I didn't. Where are you? Oh, you gotta find the window. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, I did. Okay. So here's the first one. Shareable link. This is the one that Avito's talking about. And if they get more popular, I'll do more. I will do more of these videos. It's just hard to justify it because they take a lot of time. Because there's a lot of video editing and diagrams and stuff like that I have to do. So, I will, technically I could do them in every key too, and I want to do. Vito, you asked about that. The thing is, he's playing diatonic scales, and most of these lessons I've done so far on that theme of intro to improvisation are pentatonic scales or blues scales. But what I do in the subsequent videos, the first video is just that over A minor, I think. Just that scale. I do the other shapes around it. I do blues, and I think I do diatonic. So I kind of, it's a deep dig over the the videos. But the reason I did it this way is I really wanted to go, okay, we're going to learn this, then we're going to learn this, then we're going to learn these two together, then we're going to learn this one up here, then we're going to work on these two together. And then we're going to add some blues notes, and then we're going to add blues notes to this one, then we're going to do these two together again. It's kind of like learning a language. Learn a few words, learn a few other words that you can combine with those words, make sentences. And now learn some more words over here, and now make sentences over here. And now try to make, and then the goal is to kind of be able to play this whole section. And then to add another section up here and another section down there and kind of broaden your horizon on the guitar slowly. Don't take things on too quickly. That's true for young beginners and older beginners. And that was kind of my premise for the thing. I just wish I had more than a few hundred views of those. And so so that's kind of, where I'd like to, I'd love to do more of those videos. And I would love to do, but that video you sent me, that you posted, Avito, he was playing, he was doing more diatonic notes. So keep in mind, a pentatonic scale is 5 notes, okay? And a diatonic scale is 7 notes. So you have more melodic options when you have 7. One of my favorite notes is hit that B note in A minor. In fact, ETA is a... That little lick there is that B natural, which just sounds so good over the A minor. Yeah, Kyle, watch those videos later. Yes, and and I was somebody just posted on Facebook. I follow something like Strat Players or something like that, and it's funny. I wonder if anybody commented on. Not really. I got a message here. What's this? Oh, Jackie. Oh, aw, Jackie had to put her cat down. Bummer. Dang it. I hate that. So bummer to Pepper. Pepper had to put her kitty down. I hate that. No, I don't see any comments on that. So, but I commented about, somebody said, "Oh, how do I get better at guitar? How do I want to be a session guitar player? How do I do that?" It's like, wow, that's such a big. Well, it's easy. Go to MI and get a degree in guitar playing from Guitar Institute with 10,000 other kids. I'm like, no, there is no one path. Everybody's path is different. Hey, Keith, 75, get out of town. 75 and going on 20. I'll be 60 next year. That sounds really old to me. So we've been talking about. Avito, you've got the list of what's you wrote down a list of stories. I told the story on what's today? I told the story on Friday of that you'll never work in this town. So you'll have to go back and watch that one. But I can't remember the other ones we talked about. Let me jam a little bit using these two shapes, the A form and the E form. I'll try to explain what I'm doing while I do it, but not too much. E form, A form, A form, E form, A form. So I'm just kind of going back and forth between those two forms right there, and trying to keep it just chords and straight lines and not so too melodic. Just trying to play like bluesy skate, things that people expect to hear when you play slide. My cat just showed up. It's so funny. She never comes in here. She probably wants food, but it's not time for food. She's let's see. What do I want? I want this and this. There we go. Okay. Are you still here, Kat? Where'd you go? I saw her in the corner here. I actually saw her on the screen, and she took off. That's so funny. She caught a lizard yesterday. Wanted to bring it in the house. She's got it in her mouth, and she's meowing like, "Come on, let me in." Beth is like, "Nope," because typically what she'll do, like most cats, she'll catch something and then play with it alive for about an hour. It's like, you feel bad. Let's see. Bruce, what do you, okay. Today's story time, could you, how to be, okay, right, how to avoid cop tickets, please do. Well, the first time this happened, okay, so we're on Storytime now. It's way, yeah. If you're just tuning in, we started talking about, Warren Hayes is a great slide player. And yeah, and you were right. He is one of the guys that plays the standard tune. I forgot when I did that lesson, I did some research on, and I didn't know that. And I didn't really listen to a lot of Warren Hayes, but Haynes, right? Yeah, Warren Haynes. Shows you how much I did listen to him. And I was doing research on who plays slide and standard, and he was one of the guys that came up. And I guarantee it's probably just because most of the time I'm playing guitar. I'm not playing slide most of the time. So it's just like, okay, I don't want to be having to relearn the guitar in open tunings. The most important thing to get is not get caught. And I'm going to tell you right now that because of COVID and the lack of business tax revenue to cities and states and local governments, the police are going to be told, and they will not say that they're being told. They will not be allowed to admit that they're being told, but they will be told to go out and collect some more revenue. I call them revenuers. They are revenuers. It happened after in 2009, and one of the things that they do, I don't want to say tricks because I love the police. I'm not, I mean, it's like, I've gotten my share of tickets. Um, one of the things in LA and California that they do is that all of a sudden, and I've noticed this, all of a sudden you're seeing a lot of uh, uh, signs up saying entering work zone. In other words, where they're doing street work, right? And then they'll park something that's like, oh yeah, that's kind of a cement mixer thing, but it's just sitting there not doing anything and nobody's here. But now it's like it'll say work zone next 3 miles. Okay, so if you in California, if you get a ticket in that area, you work the okay, we're gonna get the ticket set. The work zone, it's double. So a $500 speeding ticket becomes a $1,000 speeding ticket. A friend of mine, they did that to him. He was driving from Vegas to LA, and he was a mile from his exit, and he got pulled over, and he got a $1,500 ticket because he was going pretty fast. So he got a 2-pointer, and it was in a quote-unquote work zone. So notice that they're doing that. And most traffic cops will tell you, no, we're not allowed to do that. And the other thing that happened in LA when COVID hit and everybody was told to stay home, LA stopped enforcing parking tickets. And they made a big deal about this. They said it on the news. They said it in public statements. I've not heard them admit that they're starting to ticket now. Say, okay, they may not be in Pasadena. They are now. They weren't for several months, but now they are ticketing. And I don't know that anyone got any notification that it started up again. So it's kind of a tricky little thing. Yeah, the city of LA definitely wants money. So my point here is obey. I mean, I'm serious. Don't do rolling stops. Don't, I don't know what your number is, but I heard cops say, yeah, if you're going 7 miles over the speed limit, we're going to get you. But I've also heard guys say 3 miles. So if you're going 43 and a 40, they have the right to ticket you. And so that number could go down as they're, because they're probably being told, like, we're going to lay off 100 cops, or we could all just get more tickets. So it's just a source of revenue. And, I don't know if there's any will for the people to pay more taxes. I think that they're going to try to double the sales tax for short term, again, air quotes, to make up for COVID losses. But who's going to make up for our COVID losses? That's, so yeah, exactly. Steal as many licks as you can. So we were in Pentwater, Michigan, where we went for basically 20 summers. We went up there for a week or two. We took the kids, and my mom would rent this house that all of my sisters and I and the family. It was a big house, and we would all stay in the same house, and eat some good food and go to the beach. It was on the beach and everything, so it was really nice. And one time we were coming back, and here I am in Michigan with a California driver's license, driving an Indiana van that's not registered to me, and the name on the registration isn't even my last name, because we're using my father-in-law's van to go up to Michigan and back from Indiana. And I decided, let's go back into Pentwater on our way out of town and buy some fudge to take back home to everybody back home, because it's one of the things they do really, really, really good in Michigan that they don't do elsewhere, and that's fudge. Fudge and go-karts are a big thing in Michigan. I don't know why, but it's just a thing. Kathy Bell, if she were here, she would agree with that. And okay, Stevie, great to see you. I'll be back on Wednesday, same time, hopefully, God willing. Okay. So I decided to go back down into town, and so I go down the road into town, and it's like the speed limit on this road is 55, and then a few hundred feet it's 45, and then a few hundred feet it's 35, right? And I get into town, and again, we're headed out of town ultimately, but we wanted to make one stop before we headed home back to Indiana. We're all done. We're heading back to Indiana. Want to get some fudge. So I pull over, or no, I'm driving down, and boom, the kids are in the car, in the van, and Beth's, and I had the night before led worship at the Baptist church in town. So this was right around, this would have been about 2004, 2005. So I'd led worship there, done a couple songs, and then sat through the service. And I got pulled over right in town, so you're sitting there, that's always humiliating to be sitting there and people are walking by you and going, oh, you loser. The guy comes up and he's like, can I see your registration? So I get the registration, insurance, I have all that stuff, I guess. I don't know. I hand it to him. It's like, it's a mess. It's a mess. And he's sitting back there for a minute. He comes back. He says, now is this your vehicle? I said, no, this is her dad's vehicle. And I said, hey, wait. Were you at church last night? Because this is a town with 2 cops. This town has 2 police. That's it. All right. It's a small town. And I was at that church. I led worship. I sat back down. I sat next, just like across the aisle from one of the cops, one of the 2 cops in the town. And I didn't get a good look at him or whatever, but I just thought, oh, he was wearing his uniform. And he was sitting in church. And so I mentioned that to him, and he goes, oh, no, that wasn't me. That was the other guy. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So he goes back, and he gets he goes through all that, literally sitting back there for 20 minutes. And I'm kind of sweating. I'm like, am I going to have to fly back here to go to court or something stupid like that? How am I going to pay? How are we going to do this? I hadn't had a ticket in a long time. So he comes up and he goes, okay, he gives me all that stuff back. He goes, yeah, just be more careful. Don't, I said, yeah, that it just went to 35 really fast. He goes, yeah, it's kind of a quick change there. I said, yeah, I'll be more careful. I'm so sorry. And he goes, okay, thank you. And, he took off. He let me go. Probably because it was a paperwork headache for him. But, we're driving home. We got this 6.5-hour drive back to Indianapolis, or back to Greencastle, where Beth is from. And we're driving back, and I'm saying, you don't suppose it was because I said I thought he was at church or something, and it was like Christian privilege, right? Like if I was Muslim, he would have given me 2 tickets or something, or Jewish or something. It's like, I was like, you don't suppose? And Beth was like, maybe, I don't know. I went, oh, well, that's just weird. And I kind of filed that back in my head, right? So then I'm driving to church I'm coming back from church at Porter Ranch, out here where I play at church, and it's a big church. We do like anytime there's a funeral for a cop or for a fireman or something like that, we open up the city gets to use our facilities for free anytime they want. It's a big facility. The city uses it all the time. We had major fires here 12 years ago, and we housed people in our gymnasium and in our sanctuary. We took all the seats out of the sanctuary and set up cots, and we got donations from Walmart to feed and clothe everyone who lost their homes. It was like 400 homes were lost in the fires in Porter Ranch about 12 years ago. And I mean, we make our church available to anytime the city of Los Angeles needs it, okay? And so I get pulled over for speeding, and a lot of cops go to our church, a lot. And we also put on one of the biggest fireworks displays every year in Los Angeles. And people, we usually have 60,000 to 80,000 people show up to see our fireworks display. We didn't do it this year, obviously, but and so I get pulled over for speeding on the freeway, and I'm like, hey, do you go to Shepherd? And he said, I said, do you go to Shepherd Church? And he said, no, I don't. And he goes back to his car. He comes back and he goes, all right, next time, just slow down, okay? He totally gave me a pass. And I'm like, okay, is this the trick? I don't know. And of course, all of this kind of predated 2009 when I feel like it. So another time was in Pasadena. I was talking to a friend, and we were arguing about politics, which I don't like to do. But he insisted on fighting with me about stuff, and I was just kind of like and I got a little distracted, and I turned right on a sign that said "No right on red," and I got pulled over, and my friend's sitting there, and I said, "Hey, check this out." And I said to the cop, "Hey, do you go to Shepherd Church?" And he looks at me like, "No." Or, the first thing they do is they come up and say, "Do you know what you were doing?" And I said, "Did I turn right on red?" And he goes, "Yep." And I said, "Oh, man, I never do that. We were talking and I got distracted." And he went back to his car. But I said, "Hey, you look familiar. Do you go to Shepherd Church?" And he didn't look familiar. I was totally lying. And he went to his car and he came back and he just gave me a warning. Now, was he going to give me a warning anyway? Maybe. Should I have lied to the police officer and said, "Hey, you look familiar"? I mean, I'm so bad with faces, everybody looks familiar. I'm sorry, but my wife changes her hair color. I'm like, "Who are you? And why are you so cute?" So, yeah, right. Probably, Bruce, that's probably what he was doing. I don't know what he was doing, but he made me sit in that van and sweat with the kids. It was pretty funny. The kids were all worried. I remember I did get a ticket one time for, we just got rid of it, actually. We had an old, a great car. It lasted forever. A 94 840 wagon, Volvo 840 wagon, and it had the seats in the back that faced the back window. And the boys loved to sit back there. So I'm going to a guitar store from Pasadena. I'm going into Studio City to go to this acoustic guitar store, and where I bought my Loudon. I bought my Loudon there. Oh, there you are, Vito. Good to see you. I don't want a picture of you anymore. So I'm on Ventura Boulevard, which is a major street. Okay. And I'm driving on the right, I'm obviously driving on the right, but I'm coming from the east, and the store's on the north side of the street, and I go past it, and I'm going to do a U-E to park in front of the store on the street. I did not see, that car had a lot of blind spots. I did not see that there was a cop on a motorcycle right behind me when I did that U-turn, right? My kids, one of the boys said, they were little, Alex and Jack, they were in the back, and they're waving at the cop the whole time. I was like, I see him. I didn't see him. I do the U-E, and all of a sudden, woot, 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 woot. The boys are like, "Oh, policeman, cool." They're like, oh, can we get his autograph? Or whatever. And I pull over, I'm like, what's going on, officer? And he said, "Do you know what you did?" And I'm like, "Oh, is that U-turn not legal?" He goes, "No, you can't do a U-turn on this street." I went, "Oh, shoot, okay." And then he gave me a ticket. I said, so he's giving me a ticket. I'm sitting there. I'm kind of trying to think about, well, okay. So I asked him, what should I have done? Because I'm like, correct me. Don't just tell me I did something wrong. Let me know how to do it right. What should I have done there? Well, that business that you should just pull in that driveway and backed out, and then did a 2-point turnaround and then go out. I said, but wouldn't that put my boys at risk? I've got 2 little boys in the back. I would be backing up blind into Ventura Boulevard to do this 2-point. He goes, well, but that would be the legal thing to do. I went, yeah, okay, I understand, but it doesn't make any sense to me. And he goes, I understand. He understood my point of view, and I understood he had to give me a ticket. Another time, I begged a cop to give me a ticket. Maybe I should save that. Well, it's not a very long story, so I'll share it. I begged a cop to give me a ticket, and I got out of the ticket. So it's so funny. I guess I'm almost 60, so I've been driving since I was 16. So you're bound to get, I've been pulled over a lot of times, not given tickets, given warnings. Maybe that's white privilege. I don't know. I've been pulled over by black cops and not given tickets, so I'm not sure what's up with that. And in fact, the night that Reagan got reelected, I got pulled over for speeding by 2 black CHIPS officers. I thought they were mad, and I made them laugh, and we were fine. I still got a ticket, but they were really cool to me. They could have given me a 3-pointer, and they gave me a 1-pointer. But I was at LAX, and I was picking up my dad, and he did not have a cell phone. This is before he had a cell phone, and he passed away. Gosh, almost 10 years ago now. I miss him, of course. We all miss our dads. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Shepherd Church. Oh, you went to, oh, okay. Yep, it used to be Hillcrest Christian. Yep. Yep. Okay, you got married in that church? Oh my gosh. Oh, that's crazy. Your father-in-law. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so yeah, Dudley. I know known Dudley. I've been working at Shepherd for 20 years now. Or almost 20 years. Be 20 years next year. So I'm at LAX. I'm in the white zone. Do not leave your car here, kind of thing. My dad's got a cane and he's waiting for his bag. He gets his bag. I can see him. I'm sitting there, but I'm not supposed to be sitting there, right? I'm not supposed to be sitting there. I can see him, but for some reason, he cannot see me. And I'm like, got the window open and I'm yelling. So I get out of my car. I think I shut off the engine. And I go to get Dad. And I wave at him and I say, I'm right here. And he's waiting for his bag. That's what it was. But I just said, hey, I'm right here. And I go back outside. And the cop's sitting there. He's got his thing. He's going, you can't. He's yelling at me. Okay. He goes, you can't park here. And I'm like, I know. My dad, he's disabled. He didn't see me. I just wanted to make sure he knew I was out here. He goes, I said, I should have you towed. I said, look, I don't want you to get in trouble. So please, if you have to write me a ticket, please write me a ticket. I do not want you. And I put my hand on his shoulder. Now that's dangerous, okay? But I put my hand on his shoulder and said, sir, please give me a ticket. I do not want you to get in trouble for not writing me a ticket. He goes, I have to write you a ticket. I said, if you have to write me a ticket, you write me a ticket. He goes, I'm not writing you a ticket. He says, but how soon can you be out of here? I said, do you see my dad? And I pointed out, he goes, he just got his bag. He's coming out right now. He said, okay, get out of here. So, I mean, I almost begged for the guy. I said, dude, have me towed. I understand. I broke the law. I just wanted my dad to know he wasn't alone at the airport, and he totally understood that. I wasn't being a jerk, I wasn't trying to get away with anything. I wasn't trying to manipulate him with a handicapped father, I was just trying to say, look, this is my thinking at the moment. And, I think what happened was he put himself in my shoes at that very moment and realized he would have done the exact same thing. And there's the letter of the law and the spirit of the law, and it's up to every cop whether they're going to enforce the letter or the spirit. Yeah, it's my angelic face. I doubt I could get away with it now. But yeah, it's yeah. So those are my getting away with tickets. Another time I got funny because Beth got pulled over one time. Well, she's been pulled over a couple of times. She rarely gets pulled over though. She's just never. And so they were driving on the 210 freeway, and Alex had the window open. He was sitting in the front seat, and he had the window open and doing the same thing that we did as kids, and that's going like this with the wind on the freeway, and doing that with his hand. And I think the car didn't have AC, so it wasn't like, oh, Beth was like, shut the window, it's hot. So he was and she gets pulled over, and the cop comes to the window, and she didn't know what she did wrong. Like, there's nothing. She wasn't speeding. This car couldn't speed. She looked at the cop, and she goes, what? And he goes, oh, I just wanted to make sure your kid was buckled in and, in a car seat or whatever, because I saw his hand, and I thought maybe he wasn't seated properly. She's like, really? You're pulling me over for that? And he let her, there was no ticket issued because she wasn't breaking a law, but he was just checking to make sure that Alex was buckling. Another time I pulled out of church and I got pulled over by a cop, and he immediately pulling out of church, and it was Alhambra Adventist Church. And I got pulled over right away, pulled into this parking lot because I never like cops to stand on the road. So if I can find a place to pull over where they're not going to get hit, it takes a little longer, and they may get mad at you for doing that because why didn't you pull over right away? I'm like, I didn't want you to get hit. Or if it's raining, you pull under a bridge or something. That also, if you think about, and I always put my hand on the steering wheel. I always have my ticket, my license and my registration and my insurance in my hand with my hands on the wheel. And I roll down my window. I'm like, because from their perspective, I don't want to make them scared. And so they appreciate that, and they still walk up and they'll look at you from an angle and make sure that you're not packing heat or something. But that time I got pulled over, the cop, all he wanted to do was make sure all three of our kids were buckled. That's it. He was looking at seatbelts, and I'm like, really? And he gave them lollipops. It was like, gee. And I'm like, okay, thank you for giving me a heart attack. Gave the kids lollipops, but he gave me a heart attack. Right? Yeah. The airport, they are really annoying now. Like, LAX can be a real drag because if your person isn't there, that's why I always show up late. I know people don't like waiting, but the option is me doing 3 laps that take 3 hours or whatever around LAX. It took me an hour and 10 minutes or something to get to Emma. And she waited for me for 50 minutes, after it was a pain just because LAX was such a mess before COVID. Now it's empty pretty much, but they, the trick is, get over there in the right and kind of pretend like you're waiting for someone like at Terminal 1, even though you're picking up someone in Terminal 7. And then until they kick you out, and then you go to Terminal 2 and do the same thing. And the thing is, they know that's what everybody's doing. So that's why their fuse is so short, because everybody's doing the same thing. Because they programmed it. They don't have they do have a cell phone lot now at LAX, but they didn't for years and years and years. And it's like, every airport in the country had a cell phone lot, but not LAX. And so that was annoying. Yeah, not having face tattoos definitely helps. So yeah, I don't have a single tattoo. I don't have one. Never got into it. A little after my time. Everyone in my age that got tattoos was either in the military or they were like in a biker gang. Since I was neither, I kind of avoided that thing. So I think Alex has one tattoo, and it's a little alien head, like on his wrist or something. And he said it hurt like heck. It's so funny. Anyway, that's the lesson today. Wednesday, am I going to talk about, I don't know. I think Wednesday, I'm tempted to do some play along with Tom stuff, okay? Let's do that. Let me try to remember to do that, okay? And Avito, if you can show up and help me remember that the third story I have. I can't remember what it was, but maybe show up and help me remember. And then Friday, what I'll do is I'll tune a guitar in open G, and we'll do some messing around in open G. Hey, Roger. Tom, this is a little abrupt, but could you show me how to keep my guitar bends in check? The trick with the second and third finger was the hardest part. This is the hardest part for me. Well, I mean, one of the things, really quickly, because I gotta get some work. I got some work I gotta do. Make sure you know what note you're bending to. Okay, so it just takes time, for one thing. Keep in mind it's practice. I would say do 1,000 bends to be able to get one right. But if I'm bending this D up to this E, I'm in pentatonic number 1, in A position A. Know that one thing, you can always, flat is better than sharp. It's always better to be flat than sharp. But I'm definitely using my second and third finger to bend up the string. Might even get my first finger behind there too. But you can reach out with your pinky and grab that note. So you can hear it right before you bend to it. And if you have 42 guitars, know that the tension on every one of those guitars could be different. the feel, the radius of the fretboard, which is the curvature of the fretboard, the tension of the strings, the scale, the type of strings, the whammy bar or not. Those are all factors. Six in a line or 3 on a side. Those are all factors in how much resistance you get for bending. So every guitar is going to be different. If you have one guitar, you're actually better off because you'll learn how much tension is required for each note you bend. I play this guitar a lot, so. Also, your ear plays a big role. That's where I say hit this note. Oops. Okay. You also want to work on reverse bend, so you bend up, and that's where it's good to know your tension, because a reverse bend is when you silently bend up and then hit it. Oh, like, yeah. And that's also another way of finding a pitch to bend to. So this note here is the same as this note here. So Vito said you were doing something where you would play the E on the second string and then you bent. Yeah. And so that way, that's a good way to practice your tuning too. That's a little harder because you've got to have a finger down while you're doing a bend. That's two things at once. If you're just playing a bend. The other thing, now it's hard to do vibrato when you're doing the doubles, basically what I call like a double stop. But if you go in one note, and a vibrato at the top of a bend is very, very difficult, high-level kind of stuff. And so that takes time. Because what invariably happens when you start doing a vibrato, you start letting the resistance down on the string and it starts going flat. Like that. So it's hard to keep the tension on when you're doing vibrato. But the vibrato will help you hide the pitch issues. So if you're a little flat or a little sharp, if you put a vibrato on it, you won't notice. That's why singers do vibrato a lot of times. It's just to hide their pitch. They don't have to be so precise on their pitch, especially on long notes. Singers will sing no vibrato on short. And they'll, as the note goes on, they'll, in case they're going flat or sharp or something, they'll just put vibrato on it, so it doesn't matter if they're going flat or sharp. It just takes a while. And so the second and third finger just will have to get stronger. And you'll find it easier up here. Okay? So I would start at the 12th fret, put your first finger on the 12th fret, play that B, and do it. I don't do it down here. I rarely do it in first position because it's so hard. But very, very, very common rock tool. And you can also do it. The sound, the coolness of it is the fact that you're fluttering because you're out of tune, you're a whole step, then you're a half step, then you're almost in tune, then you're in tune. It's got this. And you really hear it if you're standing next to a drummer, because the snares on the drummer's snare will rattle on the bottom of their head if you're loud. Yeah, on acoustic, it's almost impossible. So I don't know that, that probably isn't going to happen. I don't do it on acoustic. If I had acoustic set up with really light strings, like electric guitar strings on it, you could do it. No problem. But if you've got a wound G string, that's going to be hard to do. I wouldn't even buy. It's not something I would hear. It's a rock thing anyway. So if I'm playing acoustic, I'm not really thinking of doing that kind of lick on an acoustic. But I understand that may be the only instrument that you have. I think you've gotten an electric, or you're in the process of getting an electric. So we'll have to. So that's I wouldn't worry about that too much. If you want to replicate it, I guess kind of the Chuck Berry lick. So anyway, okay. D shape at the 5th fret, bending the first finger up sounds like a full. Yes, like if I play. Yeah, I could do a whole. I could do a whole series of, I don't have my whammy bar. Yeah, pedal steel something, I've done those a lot just for fun. They're easier on a telly. See, they're hard to do on a whammy bar because when you're bending strings, the other strings go flat. So if I do like, if I get this up to F sharp, see that those notes are flat. I don't like the sound of it. So I did generally on any guitar with a whammy bar. I don't tend to play pedal steel licks. I tend to do them only on tellies, or my hardtail Strat, or Les Paul, or any of the Gibsons you can do it on. Or if you've got a really, really tight tremolo, that tremolo is more for rock. If you've got, and my other Strat too, like the white Strat up there, that one probably would work because it's got like a 5. I think it's got 5 springs on it, so it's got a lot of resistance. So, yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Iced coffee. That's a whole nother level. Those guys, there's some great players in that. Have you ever heard of the Helicasters? Oh my gosh. Helicasters will make you want to quit playing guitar. Helicasters, I think. I'm not sure. That may be how it's spelled. And if you have a band, if you've got product that you're selling, I would definitely check out that David. It's worth whatever you spend it on. Let's see. Close. Here, let me do the Discord link one more time. Here's a non-expiring Discord link to join the discussion afterwards. If people keep talking afterwards and post. You can also see on the Discord. You can see the Bruce's CG cigar box CBG build. So he's building me a cigar box guitar, 3-string guitar that I can use on slide, or I can do. I actually have a lot of guitars strung up with 3 strings right now. I was doing some pop writing with this guitar. It's only got 3 strings on it. And so that's kind of one of my things. So, all right, listen, I got to go. I got a million things to take care of today. I got to pay my taxes. For those legislators in California that think independent contractors don't pay taxes, you'll get my check tomorrow. And hopefully you'll learn that we do indeed pay taxes. We're not evading taxes. Oh my gosh. Such a stupid. The lady in Santa Barbara, she said, they're just mad because their lollipop is gone. It's like she's talking to 1 million plus people in California who make their living freelance as journalists, photojournalists, videographers, sheep shearers, musicians, artists, window painters, window cleaners, all these people that we all make our living freelance. We're 1099, we're independent contractors, and she just was like, oh, well, you're no longer going to get to go life without paying taxes, is what she was saying. Yeah, I pay a lot of taxes. Not only do I pay much more tax than if I was an employee. Sure, I'm not paying workers' comp, but I have workers' comp. It's called savings. Sure, I'm not paying disability insurance, but I have disability insurance. It's called savings. Sure, I don't have health care provided for me, but I have health care. It's called health insurance. I mean, the morons in Sacramento are 6 feet deep, and they just don't understand. All they've ever done is work in government. So and the other one is but we want to give you minimum wage protections. Really? Because I haven't worked for minimum wage since I was 15 years old. Why would I ever want to work for minimum wage again? It's just, anyway. I'm referencing AB 5, which is the Congress in Washington, D.C. passed it. It's called the PRO Act. And you need to make sure you rail against it because it's horrible for independent contractors, basically. And California unfortunately won't admit or see the impact from all the lost income, because of whatever income they lose this year, they're going to blame 100% on COVID. but literally 1 million people in California couldn't get work. Journalists, and they had to do carve-outs. And guess who got exempted? Lawyers and doctors and real estate agents. 3 entities that have powerful lobbies in Sacramento. So you can tell I'm passionate about this. Musicians got a carve-out, which means that we got exempted from it starting September 1st this month. But the only reason we got a carve-out is because musicians tend to write songs, right? Remember the 60s? Remember Vietnam? So you had a lot of people out there writing songs about this and getting pretty upset. You had a lot of major artists coming out and say, yeah, we're like, I have friends that, play wedding band things and, they get cash. I mean, they don't get cash. They get a check and they get 1099 and you have to pay tax on that. So anyway. Yeah, that book. I'm going to. I may do a review of that book on my YouTube channel. I think it's. Yeah, no, they just want to. They got 1 billion pet projects. They want to save the world, and they have to pay for it, and they have to use my money to pay for it. So. Well, that's what B Kitty. That's what's happening. The unintended consequence of AB5 and prohibiting people from working in COVID era means that you've driven entire industries underground. And they're going to probably what they're going to do is they're going to start giving away, $10,000 rewards for reporting someone working underground. They're going to have to do that, which is sad. That means somebody's going to get a haircut and then go report that person. It's just like, are you kidding me? And I know it's always haircuts, but it's not just haircuts. Technically, guitarists teach. I don't teach guitar lessons anymore, but technically, you shouldn't be allowed to teach lessons except online. And so you could have someone report that. It's just pathetic. So, well, Whitson, a lot of it is. I would say, okay, that's a good question, and I have a blog post, how to get students. I did a video on it, actually. Students. So I talk about this. Tips for getting students. 6 tips for getting students. I wish this video had more views. It's actually really good. So I'm going to give you 2 links here. Whitson. I'm going to give you a link to the video I did. This is the video on students. And then also, here's a link for the blog that I did a long time ago, by far my most popular. You get I know which blog posts have the most views, and that's by far, not even close, my most popular blog. And so I made a video out of it years later. Basically, I would say you charge what the market can bear, when I was in Pasadena, I was surrounded by very wealthy communities. So I was able to charge, at the end, I was charging $70 an hour. But that's pretty high. Some of that's based on my experience. Some of that was based on the fact that I really didn't want to teach anymore. So I was trying to price myself out of the market. If I were to, I would imagine if I were to start teaching now, I think Alex charges $50 an hour. So in California, probably $50 an hour for private lessons is standard. I think he has one student he charges $40 an hour. I think he does online for $50 or something like that. That may be pretty standard. It's a great way to make a living. It's certainly a lot better than minimum wage. And I mean, when I first started teaching, of course, it was a lot less. And when I came to California, I continued teaching privately at my apartment. And so that way I was able to make all of the money instead of giving any of the money to the store. I never worked at a store here. So that was good. I didn't have to teach as many students to make the same amount of money, in other words. And then I would raise, here's one of the things I would do, and I think I talk about this in the video, is I would raise my rates on new students. And I would give current students, a free lesson if they got me a new student, but only once that student took 4 lessons. So, and what I would do, say I was charging 40 and I wanted to up it to 50, I tell my $40 an hour student, I say, hey, I'll give you a free lesson if you get me a new student. But by the way, my new rate for new students is 50 an hour. So they get a free lesson, and they also get to feel special that they're getting a $10 discount. And you can keep it that way. I mean, I literally had one student, because attrition will take care of students. Generally, what would happen with me is my kids would be like junior high, and then I'd teach them through high school. So I may have them for 5 or 6 years. Once they go to college, they stop taking. So now that, so I only have ever had one student that was at a rate that was 2 rates old. So at one point I was teaching one guy $40 an hour. He'd been taking lessons forever. And my new rate was 60. It went 40, 50, 60. And I got a great comment on that video. I wonder if it's still there. I don't know. Maybe I didn't approve it. I'm pretty sure I did a screenshot on it.
To your health and safety.
Let's see if I can find the actual quote and then just see. Oh, AB is on there. Okay. Wait a minute. Did I grab the right video? 6 tips for getting lessons. Yeah. 16 comments. Okay, so there's... Yeah, let's see. 3... I'm not seeing. I must not have approved it. Maybe because he cussed. That may be why I didn't approve it. But the comment was basically $70 an hour for lessons. Yeah, I remember because he actually did cuss. He said, I wouldn't pay God $70 an hour for guitar lessons. He said, what about poor people? F them, right? But he didn't say F them. He actually spelled it out. And I was like, yeah, this from the guy who's watching a free YouTube video. Watching me teach him for free on YouTube. So I didn't want to get snarky back to him. I just didn't approve it. But I did do a screenshot of it because I thought it was freaking amazingly, not thought out typical not thought out comment. And what am I supposed to do? My goal is to not be one of those poor people. It's one of my goals in life, is to be a responsible, human being that's earning my own keep and justifying my own keep. And so if I were to give away, charge $1 for guitar lessons so poor people could afford to take lessons, and then those poor people go on to have $1 million careers in the music industry. Yeah, not a big fan of that idea. So forget them. Anyway, although I do have to hand it to Steve Vai. I think Steve Vai was really cool because his teacher was Joe Satriani, and Joe had a couple students go on to big things, and then those students kind of made point to mention it. And Joe Satriani had his career because Steve Vai, bragged about him. So, anyway, oh, you're welcome, Leo. I like doing it. I wish I made money, more money off my YouTube. It's really dying right now. So I'm thinking about shooting a video later today for tomorrow to drop because I've been trying to drop them on Tuesdays, but I don't know if I'm going to get around to it today. I wanted to do maybe a first video on ETA, how to play it. Because I know it would be popular, but I also know I probably can't monetize it. Yes, and 30 pounds is pretty good. So 30 pounds would be about $40 and change, I think. I have one student in London that I teach remotely, and I charge him $100 an hour. Or 100 per lesson. Sometimes that's 40 minutes. Sometimes it's an hour and 20 minutes. It just depends. 30 to 35 to 60 sounds about right. In Germany, again, it depends because if you were teaching in Portugal or Italy, you probably couldn't get that much. But you wouldn't. But the cost of living is less, so everything's going to be less, including guitar lessons. So it just depends. LA. If I were in Indiana, I couldn't get $50. I could maybe get $50 an hour, but that would be the top. But I'd probably be more likely to get $40 an hour. But I could buy a house for $200,000 and not pay $1,000,000 for a house like you have to in California. So, yeah, exactly. If you're in India and $4 an hour, that's still better than minimum wage, I'm assuming. When I started teaching lessons, I think minimum wage was $3, and I had a teacher come up to me at school because I had a guitar case in my hand. I was 15. It was at high school. I was a freshman, and the teacher came up to me and said, "Hey, would you teach my son guitar lessons?" And I said, "I guess. I've never taught before. I'll pay you $5 a half hour." And I went, "What?" I was like, that was a fortune. And she would come over, pick me up, bring me to her house. I'd teach her son, and then she would take me home. So for $5, yeah, that was a fortune. So, yep. AJ, that's about right. $36 to $52. That sounds about right in Chicago. Yeah, that $50 would be about the most I could get in Indy. Maybe in Chicago I could get more. I have a reputation, so I could get more. I don't have a degree. But I've got, a lot of experience and a lot of credits, so I could use that. I've been asked to teach at colleges. I taught it. I did a class at USC here in LA. I've done some consulting. I did clinics. I got a lot of money to teach clinics, a lot more than $50 an hour to teach clinics. I did clinics. I would charge $1,000 to spend the day with a band or something. $1,500, something like that for a day. And you had to pay me. You had to fly me out. You had to feed me, and you had to put me up in a hotel. So yeah, it was. That was great. I love doing those. I really did. I would do those again. I did. They just didn't happen very often, so that's why I don't do them. And I had a reputation for doing them in the '90s, but that kind of ended in the 2000s. So, yeah. So $4 is probably pretty good. You're in India, and I imagine $4 an hour is pretty good in India. I would say, again, what you can get for lessons is going to be depend on geography, and it's going to be, and so pretty much all guitar teachers, if you're teaching 20 to 40 students a week, you're all probably pretty much living in the same quality of life, no matter where you are. You're probably going to be middle class wherever you are if you've got that many students. And I mean, I had 40 students when I left Indiana to move to California. I had 40 students every week, so that was a lot to leave, but I had consistent income every week. But I'm out of, oh no, I still have coffee. That's good. So yeah, but I recommend it. I've gone two hours plus, you guys. I got to stop. All right. I will talk to you later. We're going to talk more about this on Wednesday, and I may do a play along with Tom thing if I remember. Help me remember that. Okay. Thanks, guys.